Back once again, AD on the radio.
It's you and the senorita. Woofer blowing up the tweeter, cause it's me up in the speaker. Back in the mama seat, top down like a player. And the sound up in your ears, it is the dopest rhyme say. I run a game like a cheater, I'm balling like they're a cheater. Complete on the marathon, I mean the very last meter. Competition defeated, cause you're my voice is just sweeter. So come on, follow the leader, plus I got the dopest of sneakers. One day you gotta know, let me just bear with me on your radio. One day you gotta know, let me just bear with AD on your radio.
I guess this has something to do with the whole idea of being honest and pulling out weeds when you see them. You can't ignore the weeds. You got to admit that they're there. Pull them out. Do something with your life. Let your freaking garden grow. I see so many people working out. So many people working out or talking about working out because it's a new year. New year, new me. Gonna get ripped, toned, shredded, all the above. And it was funny, I was talking to a buddy of mine who happens to be a personal trainer, and I was like, I hear people that have the same goals, but they have completely different plans. Like, a lot of people are going, I'm not going to eat any carbs, just lots of protein, and I'm going to lift lots of weights. Where I know some people that I'm like, I'm going to eat only fibrous carbs and do lots of high-impact cardio. I was like, it's interesting. Those two approaches are totally different. Like, one's the opposite of the other. Which one works? He's like, they both work. And he's like, they're not the opposite of the other. One guy has a high carb, high cardio plan. The other person has a low carb, high intensity weight training plan. The opposite of either one of those things is not having a plan. Not having an idea of what you're going to do. Knowing that you want to get somewhere, but not figuring out a way to get there. There's lots of ways to skin a cat. There's lots of ways to become a rip-toned super athlete. There's lots of ways to recognize the problems in your life and in the world and do something about them. But you can't do something about them until you recognize them and make a plan. There are risks and costs to a program of action, but they are far less than the long-range risks and costs of comfortable inaction. John F. Kennedy.
What do I do? What do I do? Rock the radio, 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 on your radio, your radio, your radio. Shimmy, 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 AD on your radio like every day. I'm totally all city champion from the north back to the south, and even your mama loves it when I open my mouth, and I love it when your mama opens her mouth too. You see what I did there? Yeah, it's kind of sort of just what I do. You'll be all like, what the hell? What did AD just say? I'm not sure if I'm offended or if he just made my day. A little insane in the brain, but I'm always entertaining. Remain in the game, I'm maintaining and gaining. My ratings soaring, my competition's boring. They play by the rules that I'm always ignoring. I'm raw, I'll bring it to you straight hardcore, and I'll leave you want some more. So turn it up loud, cause you know you love the sound when I rock the radio, 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 on your radio, your radio, your radio. My dear, I do not know you, but you know me very well because you hear me every single day that you're alive. I'm the voice in your head from the time that you wake up to the car, to the bed, from the FM to the AM to the XM. I get it done any day, every day. You can find me here at number one. Did I say that I'm number one? I'm sorry, I lied. I'm number one, bits 2, 3, 4, and 5 on your TV, on your radio, on your stereo, everywhere you go. There I am, you know, and you know you can rely on me to be giving you what you need. I'm raw, I'll bring it to you straight hardcore, and I'll leave you want some more. So turn it up loud, cause you know you love the sound when I rock the radio.
where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio.
Every day you're going and working, running that rat race and that pace and that.
You know, there are times where I'm on the radio, doing rock radio, on one of the stations I work for, and I'll play a song like Nirvana. I'll play a song like Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. And it occurs to me that, man, if this song hadn't been written, if Kurt Cobain hadn't decided to rip off More Than a Feeling, this song wouldn't exist. And if the song didn't exist, then the station I'm on probably wouldn't exist. Or if it did, it would be a very, very different animal. And there's certain things like Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit, certain things like Howard Stern getting on the air and deciding he's going to do what he's going to do. There's certain things, there's certain people that are responsible for the sandbox that people like Funkhauser and me play in. People without whom this radio world that we're in wouldn't exist. And if it did, it would be a very, very different thing. And we are joined on the air by one of those people today, the insane Darrell Wayne. Say hello, Darrell, and we'll get into exactly what you have done to make us all present and relevant here today in just a little bit. What's up, Darrell?
Thank you, JD. Radio evolves. Things happen, seeds are planted, things change over a period of time, and I was just lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time, to be on the cusp of what took place.
Excellent.
Heart Radio shines the spotlight on Queen.
By the early 1980s, Queen were one of the biggest stadium rock bands in the world, and their performance at 1985's Live Aid is regarded as one of the greatest in rock history. In November 1991, Mercury died of bronchopneumonia. Deacon retired in 1997. Since then, May and Taylor have been frequently performed together, including a collaboration with Paul Rogers, which ended in May 2009. Queen released a total of 18 number one albums, 18 number one singles. Estimates of their album sales generally range from 200 to 300 million albums, making them one of the world's best-selling music artists. They received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the British phonographic industry in 1990 and were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2001.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Queen coming up.
If your walls could talk, what would they say? I have sent children into fits of rage.
I am responsible for a child's speech impediment.
I am the reason a child can't read. Just because you can't see lead paint doesn't mean it's not on walls, doors, windows, and sills. Today, lead paint poisoning affects over 1 million children. If your home was built before 1978, log on to leadfreekids.org or call 800-424-LEAD.
Brought to you by the Coalition to End Childhood Lead Poisoning, EPA, HUD, and the Ad Council.
Like most kids from a privileged white upper-middle-class suburban background, for a significant portion of his childhood, he was pretty convinced he was down. AD on the radio.
Yeah, oh, let's go. Talking that mess, better act like you know. Oh, let's go tonight. Walk away, punk, yeah, bitch. That's right, I know this. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. So walk away, yeah, yeah.
So we are fortunate enough to be joined on the air today by, hey, Funkhauser, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that word that we learned from the iHeartRadio Phil category, and it's going to be appropriately used in this particular instance. We are. Do you want to say it, Funkhauser? You want to say who we're joined by and what he is?
The progenitor of underground rock radio, I guess you would say, the insane Darrell Wayne.
Yeah, we are joined by a radio legend and a tastemaker and a guy who built in large part. who built in large part this thing that we do here today and people are doing around the country. The insane Darrell Wayne, known for a lot of things, up to and including K-Rock in Los Angeles. Formative years in the 70s and the 80s, sort of making alt-rock radio what it is. Hello, Darrell Wayne. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, AD. K-Rock was quite an experience, to say the least. I went through a couple of transitions with the station. When I showed up in 1976, it was sort of a hippie rock radio station. We were playing Greengrass and High Tides by the Outlaws, a lot of J.J. Cale, a lot of Eric Clapton, a lot of Allman Brothers. And then that changed about a year later in 1977 with what was going on in the CBGB, and all of a sudden we're doing Blondie and Devo and Ramones, and we're doing Talking Heads. Even Tom Petty was considered to be a punk rocker when he put out his first album. And a week ago I saw the B-52s perform on stage, and Fred said, we were a group known for sort of innovative surf music and things like that, but our first album, a lot of it was considered to be punk.
Yeah.
Because the label applies as money flows.
It's very, very interesting. I think
Does he still drive a big, giant car?
Who, me?
A Chrysler as big as a whale?
Oh, as big as a whale, yeah. Tin roof rusted.
I don't know if you can do that anymore, though. Does that mean you're pregnant?
What, having your tin roof be rusted? I don't know. If there's no rust on the roof, you probably can.
I heard that, first and foremost, Fred from the B-52s, man, that's a guy who has made an incredible career out of not really being able to sing. Like, he's made an entire career off of, come on and bring your jukebox money. Like, that's his version of singing, and he's ridden it off into the sunset in spectacular fashion. But when you were around at that time, and there was, like, a very palpable change from the J.J. Cales of this world to all of a sudden we're looking at Blondie and the Ramones and the Talking Heads, there was a time when I was a kid where it really was night and day, and the day was brightened up by Nirvana. Like it was. I don't think I knew of a time when I was alive where it was a complete 180 in terms of what had happened in music. Like one day it was hair metal bands, and then the next day it was this thing called alternative, and everything shifted on a dime. And the music that came out at that time is still something that's relevant, and it's palpable today. Like a 16-year-old kid today cares just as much about Nirvana as their 40-year-old parent did when they were 16 years old. Did you notice like a big seismic shift when that happened?
Well, part of the reason is things become familiar, they're no longer cool, right?
Right.
I grew up in Los Angeles as a prodigy of Boss Radio, right? Boss Radio was all around the country. And what happened was I would, at 15 or 16, I would get in my car and I would tell my mom, please put it on KHJ in Los Angeles. And all of a sudden I would come back to the car and it would still be on KHJ. And I said, well, I can't listen to the same radio station my mother listens to. So that's what drove us to the FM side of the dial, to the big powerhouses in L.A. at the time, KMET, KLOS. And all of a sudden, they became familiar and acceptable to the adults, and that's what drove us all over to K-Rock, because it was the last bastion, it was the last holdout where you could actually get music played. Somebody could walk in the door and hand you a record, and you can put it on. I played We Got the Beat by the Go-Go's off a cassette that was given to me by Belinda Carlisle at a Battle of the Bands at Devonshire Downs in Northridge. Right? She says, Rodney's playing my song. Can you please? Oh, yeah, sure. And have him bring people in.
Here's a cassette tape?
Yeah.
Make sure it's queued up?
Yeah. You got to do it. You got to turn a little wheel thing with your finger to make sure it's all okay. But there was a big shift, but the big shift was only relegated to maybe one or two radio stations in any given market. There was BCN in Boston. There was up in San Francisco, KSAN at the time, a very popular radio station. And there were these little pockets of creativity where you could go on the air, you could play whatever you want, you could say whatever you want, and people enjoyed it and picked up on the fact that there was some thinking going on, or a thought process to the music selection.
Yeah, no, that's one thing I think that I regret that I wasn't. I think I got into radio right around the time All the Money and Fun went out of it. And, hey, what a perfect time to get my start and start blazing a trail. But I think the very interesting thing that I hear about happening all the time, and it's just not something that we can do too much anymore, is a band. Like you got serviced. Usually, when you're serviced a record, it comes from a record label weasel, and this huge chain of authority is in place, and they decide what they're going to be servicing and when they're going to be servicing and how they're going to be giving this music to you. The days of a Belinda Carlisle being like, hey, can you play this? And you being able to turn around and put it on the air and discover a band that goes on to be huge in that way, that's kind of sort of a done deal in a lot of ways, and it's really, really cool that you were a part of that. Do you still do some of that where you are in Tahoe now?
Well, I own a station in Lake Tahoe, and I'm also on the air in Albuquerque every day, middays. And then I've got a syndicated program I do called The Latest and the Greatest, where we do play new music from classic rock artists, because that's the big sucking sound. That's the big void that's missing in music. You've got all these respectable talents, whether it be David Crosby, whether it be the people that came out of Thin Lizzy, whether it be Joe Walsh from the Eagles or whatever. They still put out new music, and what do they do with it? They can't take it for airplay anywhere. So I think that I'm sort of cornered the market on sort of the last piece that's missing out of the radio business, aside from the creativity. And I do a 3-hour show on Wednesday nights on both stations. We've been doing it 14 years, and we play whatever we want, and we say whatever we want, and the pundits of programmed radio be damned. We're going to go on the air and have a good time.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, and I think anybody that spent any time in radio is at this stage in the game probably insanely jealous that you've carved out a way of doing this for yourself. That's very, very cool. We are privileged to be joined by the insane Darrell Wayne today on the show, and I'm sure we'll talk more about his experiences building this animal of radio that we are all sort of happily a part of now in just a little bit. Right now, though, shall we get into the news of today, Funkhauser? Shall we discuss what's been happening in the world? Yes. How are you?
I'm good. Feel free to chime in, insane Darrell Wayne.
Yes.
Now that we've taken the handcuffs off of you and the straitjacket, and
exactly. And I don't have to be back locked up until like 11, so I'm okay.
Are you sure about
Day
that?
pass.
Day pass.
How are you continuing to further international relations between the U.S. and Canada, Funkhauser? How's that going?
Yeah, I'm dating a Canadian girl, and we talk about it here all the time.
You do that?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Canadian relations are at an all-time high.
Next needs to be dating Rush. The whole band all at the same time.
She has heard of Rush. That's as far as we've gone at that point. I hope to rock out to 2112 someday, though, with her. Yeah. That's the thing, right?
I have no... Isn't
that a Rush album?
You need to tell her that Paul McCartney used to be in another group before Wings.
Oh yes, that international sensation. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Well, I'll loan you my Bare Naked Ladies record so you can,
Is that a euphemism?
No, but it could be. It's very good. Can we talk about the fact that you sent me pictures of her in her underwear?
Yes.
Okay.
So, she sent me a picture. Here, let me show the insane Darrell Wayne here while we talk
about
it.
Come on, guys. It's time to share.
She sent me a picture and said it was okay to share it. So...
no,
she's wearing like a girdle and an overskirt.
Well, she was cleaning her apartment. She was cleaning her apartment, and there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Little duster in one hand and a little drinky poo in the other. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. No, that's her phone. That's her phone there.
Her phone.
Are you gonna tweet it? You gonna let people know exactly what's been going on in your life? And there's a reason why I ask if you're gonna tweet it or not.
What?
If you tweet it, that's cool. If you don't tweet it, if it doesn't become really, really public knowledge, I'm going to respectfully request that you stop sending me pictures of your girlfriend in her underwear. Because if it goes well, which it sounds like it kind of sort of is, one day I might meet her. And I don't want to be like, I've got tons of panty shots of you in my inbox. It'd just be weird for me. Maybe not for her. Maybe she's more comfortable, but I'm a little bit more old school and gentlemanly, and I don't need to see that. That's either everyone's when you tweet it, or that's just yours. And I don't need to see. Does that make sense?
I do feel like I'm 16 years old when, I got a picture. Ooh. And she's like, you can show it to your friends. I'm like, to at all friends. Check this out. I haven't decided whether I was going to tweet it or not. I need to ask her. She says it's okay, but there's more insane people listening than just the insane Darrell Wayne. So
right.
So make sure that facial recognition and stuff.
Right. Gotcha. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I think they should have a butt scan.
A butt scan?
Yeah. Forget the facial recognition. Go with a butt scan. Oh, look, he's smiling.
Just thinking about it.
All right, Tackleberry, let's go.
Bill Clinton turned 69 yesterday.
Yeah. I think he planned to have a nice romantic dinner, unless Hillary wanted to do something with him. In that case, it was all over. I don't know. He was probably too... See, Bill Clinton turned 69. It's Big Bubba. He was too busy giggling all day to actually celebrate. He'll probably get around to that tonight.
He was just waiting for somebody to ask, how old are you? So he could go, 69.
69.
With thumb up. 69. Thumb up.
69. 69. Insert your own piece of highly obvious humor wherever you feel it's appropriate. Go on.
George Zimmerman is selling paintings of the Confederate flag to raise money for a Muslim-free gun store.
Yeah. I think Zimmerman explained that he's doing this because there's still a few people out there who do not yet realize he's a giant scumbag. His paintings are not very good. I looked. I was like, is George Zimmerman like secretly talented? Is he like an idiot savant in the art world or something? No, he's not. It's very, very... guys, yeah. Okay, moving right along so this doesn't become a gun show. Go on.
Yeah, well, he could do a gun-free Muslim store if he wanted to.
Probably not him. That could happen. Hey, Florida. Oh, I skipped one. The Office of Minnesota dentist Walter Palmer, you know that guy that killed our beloved lion Cecil?
Yeah.
He opened up his office, his dental office in Minnesota.
Yeah. The office of Walter Palmer, the guy who killed Cecil, is open again. Here's the thing, though. The office, if you call him up, says that Palmer himself is not there. But, they might be lying.
Oh. That was...
Yeah.
Oh. That was a good one.
That was a good one. This is why we're picking up a terrestrial affiliate. I hope they're not listening to this show. Go on.
Hi, Florida. A Florida man was arrested for painting his name on cop cars.
Yeah, he probably would have gotten away with it, too, if he hadn't, painted his name on the car. Yeah, that's why, as a kid growing up writing graffiti, you have a nickname. That's why you don't sort of, put your full Christian given name that you've been baptized with when you're tagging up, subway cars and things of that nature. And painting your name directly onto something is not a good move. I always, when I wrote graffiti, it was AD. That was my tag. That was that was my name when I was writing graffiti.
You just drew ads on everything?
Yeah, pretty much. People knew. Those who knew. And then when I started in radio, it was a bad move because it's just hey, isn't AD that guy on in the afternoon? And okay, yeah, we know where to go with this one. So, yeah, if you're going to paint stuff on cop cars, probably shouldn't be your actual given name.
USA Headline News. I'm Kelly Sloan. Former President Jimmy Carter held a news conference to discuss his cancer diagnosis. He says he will undergo treatment for melanoma.
And they did a biopsy and found that it was indeed cancer, and it was melanoma. And they had a very high suspicion then and now that the melanoma started somewhere else on my body and spread to the liver.
He also says he will cut back on his work at the Carter Center. ISIS is claiming responsibility for a massive car bomb in Cairo that wounded 29 people and blew the facades off nearby buildings.
It's hard to say what this means for the overall security situation in Cairo. Till now, most of the attacks have been focused on police, army, state security, and government buildings. Similar bomb attacks have happened in the past, usually late at night or very early in the morning, and so until now, civilian casualties have been very low.
That was AP correspondent Brian Rowan. This is USA Headline News.
There are two types of water heaters, thankless and tankless. The thankless kind work like this.
Mom, I'm throwing in a load of laundry.
Whoa, hold off on that. I'm hopping in the shower.
Is this a good time to turn on the dishwasher?
This is not a good time to turn on the dishwasher.
Renai's tankless water heaters, on the other hand, work this way.
I'm throwing in a load of laundry.
No problem. I'm hopping in the shower.
Renai's innovative tankless water heaters provide an endless supply of hot water whenever you need it, even for multiple tasks at the same time. Plus, they feature a space-saving design and ultra-efficient performance for monthly energy savings. So enjoy hot water that's always ready when you are.
Is this a good time to turn on the dishwasher?
Go for it.
And never discourage your children from washing dishes again. Renai tankless water heaters, the hot way to heat water. Learn more about Renai's industry-leading products at www.renai.us. That's RINNAI.us.
It's trending.
Check out baseball games of note. The Dodgers lose to the A's 5-2. Oakland gets the sweep of the mini 2-game interleague series. The Cardinals edge the Giants 4-3. Yadier Molina hit a solo home in the 8th. That was the game-winning hit. The Dodgers still have a 2-game lead on the Giants atop the NL West. Yankees over the Twins 4-3. New York has a 2-game lead on Toronto in the AL East as the Blue Jays lost to the Phillies 7-4. Orioles walk off with a 5-4 win over the Mets. Meanwhile, the Angels blank the White Sox 1-0. So the Angels are holding on to that half-game lead over the Orioles for that second American League wildcard spot. And the Rangers remain a game and a half back of the second AL wildcard spot thanks to a 7-2 win over the Mariners. 13 innings for the Astros to walk off with a 3-2 win over the Rays. Houston remains 2.5 games up on the Angels atop the AL West. In news from the NFL, Carolina Panthers wide receiver Kelvin Benjamin tore his ACL in practice. He will miss the entire upcoming season. I'm Eddie Garcia.
iHeartRadio shines the spotlight on Sir Paul McCartney.
1971's Wildlife was the debut album by the newly formed Wings with his wife Linda Eastman and singer-songwriter Denny Laine. The album reached number 11 in the UK and number 10 in the US. Red Rose Speedway was released in 1973. Engineered by Alan Parsons, it reached number 1 on the Billboard 200 Albums chart. In March 1973, My Love was released and became a UK top 10 hit and McCartney's second solo US number 1. The next Wings album, Band on the Run, was released in 1973 and became their most successful. Bolstered by the hits Jet and the title track, the album was a major success. It reached number 1 in the US on 3 separate occasions and eventually went triple platinum in the UK, becoming the top-selling British album of 1974. In early 1975, Paul McCartney and Wings won the Grammy Award for Best Pop Vocal Performance by a Duo, Group or Chorus.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Sir Paul and all your favorite artists. iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Mike Rutherford to discuss the art of songwriting.
I've learned one thing over the years is that actually you can't control it. You can't force it. You can't analyze it. You can't worry about it. You just go and have a good time and mess around, and then something comes along and you grab it. You know, it's something intangible. And if you try and make a program how to do it and do it better, you get lost. So it's like a free-form thing, which you can't control. You just let it ride or not ride. And if it's not working, then you just have a break. That's what I've learned.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Mike Rutherford and all your favorite artists.
Now, more AD on the radio.
once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AT, and can't nobody rock a party better than me. Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AT, and can't nobody rock a party better than me.
So I suppose we should probably discuss Jared from Subway and perhaps that Duggar kid who, the holy roller who, well, he did all sorts of unspeakable things to his sisters growing up. And now it turns out that he was the Ashley Madison hack. The Ashley Madison hack, which identified a whole bunch of people that had signed up to the Hey, Have an Affair website. Guess who's on it? And there's some interesting details about what exactly he was into and what he was looking for outside of his marital union as dictated by God. And we'll get into that after we finish rolling through the
I guess we can't go to Subway
for
for lunch today.
You know what? It was interesting. I was offered an endorsement for Subway. You know, like the salespeople at the radio station said, "Do you want to endorse Subway?" And I couldn't because I already endorse another place where you can go get delicious food, and that would be Smash Burger. And by the way, if you haven't tried their burgers, good. I'm not just saying that because they give me money to say that. I'm saying that because, good. Like, legit. If there's one thing we know in Texas, it's beef. And Smash Burger do it right. They really, really do. But I couldn't. But I just thought, wow, what an interesting gig that would be to get in the wake of all this. Like, what would your copy look like? Because, you know, essentially Subway are now doing an enormous repair job on their PR. Like, when your name is associated irrevocably with a guy that distributed child porn and paid underage girls to have sex with them, like, that's yeah, through no fault of their own, really. Through no fault of their own. It was really interesting. I was thinking, because did you ever used to admire Jared from Subway? Either of you?
Just in terms of his weight loss and his commitment to it, sure.
Mm-hmm. You know, the thing that I admired about him was, you know, the weight loss was you know, interesting, but what I thought was kind of impressive about him was, like, here's a guy that, like, was fat, wanted to do something about it, and came up with a plan. You know, he counted the calories in the sandwich, he figured out what he would burn in his walk to Subway and his walk back from Subway after eating, and he sort of, like, Subway didn't come to him and say, hey, fat ass, we can help you be less of a big fat lard ass fat-filled pre-diabetic fatty if you follow this plan. He came up with it himself, and he stuck with it, and I thought that was really, really impressive. I thought he was a diligent guy, and it was a really good look for Subway for a while. Now, definitely not so much. I mean, through no fault of their own, Subway, purveyor of delicious sandwiches, are now associated with this guy that's done horrible, unspeakable, should be punished by chemical castration things. And they've got a huge, insane PR repair job to do. And I was kind of bummed that I couldn't take the Subway gig just because, I mean, partially, you know, I don't need to be associated with that on the radio. And maybe that wouldn't have been such a good idea. As it turned out, I couldn't say yes to it, even if I'd weighed the options and had decided it would be a good idea. But what an interesting time to come into the Subway advertising family when they're repairing their good name. It'll be interesting for whoever got that gig, for sure. I'll be interested to talk to them.
Well, other people have come back from worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jack in the Box several years ago made burgers that had feces in them. Right, and they're the biggest thing in the country now, just because they got some guy to put on a big round head and a pointy hat and talk like the Jack FM guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be done. I mean,
they're going to have to redo the whole thing now. Subway, they're going to change colors, going to change logo, all that stuff.
Well, they've embedded themselves into television programs now. If you watch, like, Storage Wars, let's on the way to the thing, let's go ahead and grab a Subway sandwich. What kind do you have? Oh, I've got the turkey and Swiss. What do you have? Oh, I've got that chicken with the spicy sauce, right? So
yeah, it's very, very clever how they do that. And I think they've been doing that for a long time, because I remembered in the wake of all this, I posted it on my Facebook page, but I got a picture of Adam Sandler as Happy Gilmore being and they worked that into the plot of the movie. And so Subway have been doing that for a while, and they've been good at it. So if there's anybody that can come back from this particular PR nightmare, the folks over at Subway seem to be pretty smart about how they handle themselves. But interesting times for sure. Oh, man.
They can have Darrell Hammond play Jared.
They could. They could get a character. Well, I mean, Don Imus is still around, and he stubbed his toe pretty badly several years ago. So people recover from stuff like that.
It's pretty rough. This one's pretty rough, dude.
Well,
he's got a lot of space in those jeans now.
He's got some time to think about it.
Oh, yeah. I think the folks over at Subway could learn a lot from Donald Trump at this stage in the game, because like Donald Trump is like, yeah, whatever. It was like when Megyn Kelly was like, you said horrible things about women on Twitter and on your television shows. You're part of the war on women. He's like, only Rosie O'Donnell. And she was like, no, it was more than Rosie O'Donnell. He's like, was it? Yeah, probably. Whatever. What else you got, sugar tits? And like everything was fine from there on in. And like it just doesn't put a hitch in his giddy up, because he's like, yeah, whatever. What else do you got? I don't know. Did I say that? Yeah, probably. I say a lot of stuff. It's just like, I think that
he's using the Popeye approach. I am that I am, and that's all that I am. Take me or leave me. So what? Right? Yeah. He doesn't need us.
Yeah.
I've got $11 billion I can buy and sell for America's.
Go on. What else is happening in the news?
A drug trafficking pigeon was detained in Costa Rica.
I heard about this. Yeah. A homing pigeon intercepted by cops at a prison near San Jose after it was seen by a guard landing in the jail's courtyard with a bag tied to its body. When they took the pigeon into custody, they found it had this bag containing 14 grams of cocaine and 14 grams of marijuana.
I had heard that the pigeon was going through a TSA inspection, but I'm not sure.
I think despite repeated
Cavity
interrogations... pigeon cavity search. Sounds like a really bad Thanksgiving. Despite repeated interrogations, the pigeon is playing it cool. See what I did there? Sorry. The entire show's building up to that, and I more or less got nothing. All right, we'll talk about Jared and Duggars when we get back. Thank you so much to our very special guest, the insane Darrell Wayne, for making us sound way better than we actually are today.
My pleasure.
iHeartRadio shines the spotlight on Queen.
It was the release of Sheer Heart Attack in '74 and A Night at the Opera in '75 that gained the band international success. Bohemian Rhapsody stayed at #1 in the UK singles chart for 9 weeks. It charted at #1 in several other territories and gave the band their first top 10 hit on the US Billboard Hot 100. Their 1977 album, News of the World, contained 2 of rock's most recognizable anthems, We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions.
We are the champions. We are the champions. Losers for losers, 'cause we are the champions.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Queen coming up.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Bob Seger to discuss his favorite process for developing new songs.
The way I do it, I sing into an ADAT machine, which has about 40 minutes. I might fill up 2 or 3 of them. Then I just go away, come back the next day, and listen to what I did. If there's nothing there, I start again. But I might hear one chord change. I might hear one thing I mumbled lyrically and say, oh, I never even caught that when I did it. You know, it's like just totally a free-form thing, almost a jazz thing. And sooner or later, you know, a structure, a chord structure, or a phrase, or the way I sang something jumps out at me, and it becomes the germ for a song, you know? And that's really fun.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Bob Seger and all your favorite artists.
Now, someone who everybody wants to punch in the face. AD. on the radio.
You see, Donald Trump went on the record saying he has one of the greatest memories of all time. He gave a comprehensive interview to The Hollywood Reporter, and, well, Donald Trump is nothing if not excessively quotable. And there's some great quotes, the highlights being things like, well, he denied that he's incapable of apologizing. People say that he can't apologize, but he admits it doesn't happen often, saying, quote, people say he won't apologize for anything. I do believe in apologizing, but for me, it's very difficult. I definitely would apologize if I were wrong on something.
So he was apologizing for not apologizing.
No, I scanned the interview for any sort of instance of him saying, I apologize for, and it didn't come up. He said he would apologize if he was wrong, but let's be real here. This is the Donald. That doesn't happen too frequently. At case in point, when he was asked about his last apology, he said, quote, it was too many years ago to remember. I have one of the great memories of all time, but it was too long ago. You gotta love how he can turn any situation into an opportunity to brag about himself. It's a talent that, well, if I had it, Funkhauser and I would be living in nicer houses and driving better cars. He was also asked who should play him in the inevitable HBO movie about his presidential run, and he said, someone really, really handsome.
That rules out Stephanopoulos.
He said the only thing that matters is that they're really handsome. I don't care if he can act well. He's got to be really, really good looking. Okay? Like, have you noticed that? The Trump speech, now we're hearing more and more from him. He finishes his sentences with a question a lot of the time. And usually that question is, okay? Like when he was talking about John McCain. I'm sorry. I like soldiers that were never captured. Okay? Like he's just, no, in most instances, probably not okay. When he was asked about Hillary Clinton, he didn't seem too concerned because he thinks she's going to end up behind bars. He said Hillary has problems far greater than the nomination. The email scandal, it's a fraud if you think about it. This looks like Watergate on steroids, frankly. Watergate was about the cover-up more than the act. This could go on for years. You can't have a nominee who is under investigation. What are they going to do? Run, and then 2 nights before the presidential race, she gets indicted? General Petraeus did 5% of what she did, and his life has been destroyed. And it goes up to 20 years in prison. It's from 1 to 20 years for what she did. And here's what he said about his campaign and the greatest gift to late-night TV hosts, saying, quote, I'm not insulted. I don't know if I would be as good about it 10 or 15 years ago. I think I took myself maybe more seriously back then in a way. So you were around. You were around for Watergate. You kind of lived that. Were you on the air at the time when Watergate was happening, Darrell?
Not quite. I mean, the radio bug bit me in junior high school, and I never really looked back and started working at a radio station when I was about 15 years old. But Watergate was passed. I'd say the biggest day that had the most impact on me was the day that John Lennon was shot. Was on the air at K-Rock and had to grieve publicly and try to wrestle up some people that were sort of, if they weren't in the nucleus of the Beatles organization, people that were on one of the hubs spinning really fast to get some people on the air to be able to speak intelligently about it. But, Watergate to me was just sort of news fodder. It was sort of a nightly news romp. It didn't really mean anything.
Yeah. Do you think? I don't know. I look at Watergate, and maybe it's just because I've watched too many History Channel documentaries about it. But and they're just sort of they take the position that it was this thing that absolutely rocked the nation and shook the world to its core.
I don't buy that. I mean, but they'll still talking about Lee Harvey Oswald, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, maybe.
And what may or may not have happened.
Speaking of things that may or may not have happened, family values crusader Josh Duggar had two Ashley Madison accounts. What you've been dreading for the past years or the past several weeks has become a reality. Those hackers who busted into the servers at ashleymadison.com have published what they found, and that means millions of potential adulterers might very well get caught in the act. And you can find out if your significant other was looking to stray by hitting up one of several searchable databases that are springing up.
Whoops.
That's yeah. I like, but apparently the searchable databases are on the dark web. Whatever the hell that means. I'm not hackery or digital savvy enough to know exactly how to access the dark web because they keep getting taken down, and there's different places, and there's
you'll need a
specific
special browser for that.
No, you do need a special browser apparently. Hold on, let's see if any of the links I've got, because like I have my suspicions about certain individuals that I think are philandery. I was like, I wonder if they actually sort of like signed up for this, and I want to find out, and I want to basically. I want to see if I can dig up some dirt on my friends, but I haven't been able to figure out how to do that. One celebrity has already been caught, though, and it's our old friend Josh Duggar. He's the family values crusader from 20 Kids and Counting, that extremely Christian family that have like a bazillion kids. He's one of them, and he's gotten into politics and the world of family values, and he's been a family values crusader. It turns out he also molested 5 girls several years ago, 4 of whom were his own sisters. And it's an interesting one because his mom, the Duggar mom, has been very active and vocal in campaigning against transgendered folks and gay folks, saying that they're sexual predators. And she actually, she didn't bake cookies for a luncheon. She didn't donate money. She was one of the people pounding the phones, being like, you have to vote against transgendered people being able to use bathrooms that they think they deserve because they don't deserve them, and it's going to turn them into sexual predators. Transgender people are immediately sexual predators in her eyes. But, what was living under her own roof? Yes. Glass houses, rocks, pot, kettle, black, can open, worms everywhere. And it got even more interesting because according to Gawker.com, Josh had 2 Ashley Madison accounts from February 2013 until May of this year and spent close to $1,000 on them. So he actually paid. He paid. Funkhauser, you're on various internet dating sites from time to time, or have been in the past. Have you ever paid for membership to one of them?
Let me think about it. I did Match.com once, and I paid, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
It was like $9.99 or something.
But with this Ashley Madison thing, the numbers don't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you compare the number of subscribers they potentially had with the population of the United States, it doesn't jive.
Well, it's like 30 million subscribers.
And how many?
300 million, 100 million? I don't know. A lot of people.
Well, I think that's where Ashley Madison are catching a lot of heat as well, because it turns out the vast majority of the female profiles on there are fake. So guys are paying to have access to their database of ready, willing, and able female flesh, and it turns out most of it not only is not ready, willing, and able, it doesn't even exist. And you're right, the numbers don't add up because so many, I think the majority of the female profiles on ashleymadison.com were exposed as being fake.
Yeah, I know. I remember. Wow, you're really pretty. Why isn't she talking? Why is she talking to me like a robot? What's this outside link I'm supposed to click on to have more fun?
What is this zip file that's creeped into my email?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. Anyways, Josh Duggar was somebody who actually spent money. And I think they had, so there's a guarantee. There's a guarantee that you're gonna get to see someone naked and touch, fondle, do things to them. There's essentially a penetration guarantee that the folks over at Ashley Madison give you if you spend a certain amount of money. I don't know exactly how.
I have
it
one
works,
of those too.
If you have if you have that amount of money and you just go to Vegas, right? You can, with skipping all the online stuff, you can get pretty much whatever you want.
That this is true. Well, and that's the thing. He spent close to $1,000 on Ashley Madison accounts. $1,000. According to his data, he was in the market for conventional sex, experimenting with sex toys, giving and receiving, and bubble bath for 2, among other things.
Bubble bath.
Bubble bath for 2. Well, you know what's interesting?
That's a thing you can ask for?
Bubble bath for 2.
Mr. Bubble.
Yeah. Hey, you plunk down $1,000, you can ask for a bubble bath. I think that's allowed. But, like, what's very interesting to me is I wonder if all this stuff, I mean, besides where it says conventional sex, there's experimenting with sex toys, giving and receiving mouth type things, and bubble bath for 2. Now, you think he was wholly rolling and justifying it to himself? Because none of the stuff that he's into necessarily implies penetration. Do you think he was like, well, it's okay if I spend money on AshleyMadison.com and hook up with chicks as long as I don't, put it in? Because I think they, like, the whole tenet of the family is they don't believe in contraception, hence the 20 kids and counting or whatever the hell it is. I wonder if in some way, shape, or form what he was looking for was justifying his actions to the Lord. What do you suppose?
I've spent over $1,000 on her sister, Dolly Madison, because I just love those cupcakes. Can't get away from Dolly's cupcakes.
Her sister. Her sister, the cook. She's quite a baker.
Yeah.
Muffins are ready. Where's your bell? Funk used to have a bell in the studio that he used to ring and said the muffins were ready.
No bell anymore.
Because of my inability to go out and get my own food, I became a master baker years ago. Jared from Subway is going to spend at least 5 years in prison after the child sex charges. We're running out of time, so we should probably give the rundown on this. Subway spokesman Jared Fogle agreed to plead guilty yesterday to paying for sex with at least 2 16-year-old girls in New York between 2010 and 2013. When I heard that, I was like, you idiot. Creepy as it sounds, there might be states, but if there's not states, there's definitely countries where you can go and have sex with 16-year-olds, and it's 100% legal. 100% legal.
Ask Gary Glitter.
Well, I mean, I grew up in England where the age of consent is 16, and it's just a fact that if he wanted to go have sex with 16-year-old girls, creepy as it sounds, it's legal in many countries in the world. And what the hell were you doing paying 16-year-old prostitutes, you idiot? But I don't know. I think his depravity goes way further than that, because he received and distributed child pornography. And those weren't 16-year-olds. This is genuinely just, like I said, this is where the whole argument for chemical castration comes in. Yeah, these kids in the child porn that he was receiving and distributing were as young as 6 years old.
They don't like his kind where he's going.
No, they do not. And he's going to be spending 5 to 12 and a half years in prison. His wife announced she's divorcing him, and obviously Subway has ended their relationship with him too. Make of all of this what you will. We'll probably discuss more of it as it unfolds next week. Thank you so much, the insane Darrell Wayne, for brightening our day with your presence. I hope you'll come back as many times as you want to.
As many times as you're willing to tolerate it, I'm good to go.
Woohoo! Ooh. Thank you so much for joining us. Have an awesome weekend, Funkhauser. Do your bit for Canadian-American relations.
Sometimes you feel like it's cool to turn the other cheek and give people the benefit of the doubt even when they don't deserve it. And sometimes you feel good about yourself for being the better person and doing that. Well, this is not one of those times. I don't think you realize what's on my mind.